Coming up today on Wheels in Motion, we're going to look at an authentic Cobra Dragon Snake. That sounds good. Welcome to today's show. I'm here with Hal Heindel, and we're in front of a very, very special car. As I always said, if you see a Cobra out on the road, 9 times out of 10, 95% of the time, it's going to be a fake or a remake, let alone a Dragon Snake. Now, I don't know if any of you know, a Dragon Snake is one very special Cobra. They only made 6 Dragon Snakes. Hal, you bought this car back in the 60s. Tell us a little bit about it.
I'm the second owner of it. It was a Dragon Snake that was campaigned by Shelby. Shelby, when they got done with it, built a second Dragon Snake and sold this car to Randy Berry. Randy campaigned it for 2 years or so. And then he got into some other kind of drag racing, match racing to be exact, and so he offered it for sale. And I've been looking for specifically a Dragon Snake, a drag Cobra. And found it in Indianapolis, went and picked it up.
Okay, now that was back in
1967.
1967. Now, from what you told me, you drove this, put a couple of miles on it here and there, and then parked it?
Yeah, I tried to actually. The reason I bought it was to make a street car out of it, not for history or anything else. I just wanted a faster than fast Cobra. And Dragon Snakes came with all the drag racing goodies. That was about the fastest you could get. And the bodies were immaculate, because in drag racing only the engine and the drivetrain really get abused, but the body never gets touched. The body stays original. But it really was a little more difficult than I thought it was. A very hot cam, a 2,000-pound pressure plate. One of the worst things for a street car is the steering column, as it goes to the firewall, has normally a leather boot. Well, when they put the headers on it, the boot, of course, had to go. It burned off. So when you drive this car more than 10 minutes in the street,
pretty warm.
Your toes get very toasted. Right. So you've got to park it every 10 minutes. So it would have meant changing the headers, changing the cam, and doing all that. And so I was debating whether or not, in fact, to just replace the whole engine. And that was about the time I started the business. And with the start of the business, the Cobra got parked.
Well, that sounds to be a really good idea, because if you change the motor in this, you would have been a little 40 years down the road.
Right.
This is a beautiful car. It's totally unmolested. It's got the original front tires on it. I mean, everything else is basically original on it too.
It's totally original, including the paint is as raced by Shelby, and the racing livery, the lettering, Cobra Bout by Ford. That's just the way Shelby raced it.
Now, I see you've got some side pipes on the side, and I looked underneath. You've also got regular mufflers going right out the back.
That was an NHAR regulation. You had to have mufflers, even though they weren't used. So they did run them with the open side pipes, but they had to have mufflers.
Okay, so now, how does it go down now? It just goes down there, stops, and then branches off to your mufflers?
Right, there's a little elbow, and then there's a very small flash pack muffler and 2 tailpipes. So.
Well, that's amazing. And I talked to you a little earlier. There's a couple other things you've done to it, probably done way back then when you changed the spline tires over to the...
Oh, I did not. No, that's Shelby. Shelby did that. Right. This, when they started racing the cars, not just drag racing, actually, they discovered it when they road raced, that the torque of the V8 was so strong that it just twisted the splines on the wire wheels.
Gotcha.
And so for road racing, actually, they started with a pin drive Hellebrands, which these are, and there are 5 pins that go into holes in the wheel, and so that solves the torque problem.
Oh, I got you. And then you still spin it off, though?
Yes, yeah, they're spin-off.
And you told me inside there you do have one of the original spoke tires.
I do.
That's pretty cool.
As a spare tire, it's useless, but yeah.
It's part of the car for sure, part of history.
More on the history of this Shelby Dragonsnake after a quick break.
How fast have you ever had it going?
Max speed on this because of the high gearing is about 140. I had it up once to that, right.
Did you do any drag racing with it? Or?
Never drag raced it.
It was just on the streets.
Yeah. I got into road racing a little bit, but never drag racing. Not with this car.
I didn't know they had streets that had a speed limit of 140.
They don't. They might have back then. Let's pretend they did. So.
I'm just kidding. That's beautiful. We looked under the hood. It's a gorgeous car. We got to look under there again. The motor is absolutely beautiful. What is that? A 289 in there?
289 with rubber carburetors. Puts out almost 400 horsepower, about 396 was when it was last dynoed. And the car weighs 2,200 pounds, so that's quite a power to weight.
All aluminum body too.
Right.
So it cuts down on the weight.
Yeah.
Now, what type of fuel do you use in it?
It's just high test right now. You have to use the additives, octane boosters.
I know back then they had 103 octane. You could buy the pumps.
Right. Sunoco 260 originally, right? But now you need the octane boosters. That's 11.5 to 1 compression ratio, so you would get knocking without that.
Sure. Well, that's a beautiful car, and I can't wait to drive it around the block.
Oh, okay.
Well, thanks a lot for your time, and this is probably the most beautiful car I've seen. It's got more history than anything I've seen, and I can't believe that I'm here to actually touch it.
Well, thank you.
Like I say, I've seen many Cobras, and I don't think maybe one of them's been a real Cobra, let alone a Dragonsnake. This is unbelievable.
Right. Yeah, there were only 6 built and only 2 factory comp cars. This is the only original one left. So.
Well, that brings me to another question. There's 6 of these built. Back in the 60s, how did you even know about these to know that you wanted one?
I actually didn't. All I knew was that I wanted a drag racing Cobra. I didn't know that they even called them Dragon Snakes, or that such a car was available in Shelby. I was just looking for a car that somebody had spent the money on souping up for drag racing.
So you weren't necessarily looking for a factory-made drag racer?
No. I just happened to be one. In fact, I bought it from a private owner. So, but then back in those days, history wasn't history yet. So you were just looking for a fast car.
Well, and in the auto, lingo, they call these a 2-comma car. This car is going to probably be worth well over $1 million. I don't think you paid quite that much for it back in the 60s.
No, I paid $3,600 for it.
$3,600.
Right. But again, people tend to forget back then you could buy a brand new Corvette for about $5,000. So this was a used race car for $3,600. Bank wouldn't give me a car loan. They did give me the money, but it had to be a personal loan.
Unbelievable.
Not as a car loan. It just wasn't there. It just wasn't there.
Well, 40 years, it's hard to turn 40 years of any kind of investment from $3,000 into well over $1 million, but I think you did a good job.
The cars did well, and she's done well by me.
Sure as hell. I can't believe you've stored it in your print shop all these years, and I hear you're going to be maybe parting with this.
I'm reluctantly parting with it. It'll be at the Mecum Spring Classic in Belvedere this Memorial Day weekend.
Wow, that's going to be a beautiful car, and I'm sure it's going to get a lot of attention. In fact, I know I've been watching a lot of car auctions. I know a few guys that have some museums. I'm sure this is going to end up there.
Yeah, I hope it's going to the museum. I really do.
And then you can go look at it.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, Hal, thanks again for all your information. This is a beautiful car. I wish I could own it. And I know a lot of you guys out there might be envious, want to own this car. Well, up next, we're going to be talking with Dana Mecum at Mecum Auctions, and this car is going to be up for sale.